Hey everybody and welcome to Chairman of the Board. Today I'm talking about Scythe, which is a 1 to 5 player economical area control Euro style game. It does have kind of elements of like a mirror thrash kind of mechanisms in there as well, but mostly a kind of Euro style game by Stonemaier Games. This game came out quite a few years ago now, 3-4 years ago, to tremendous hype and had a tremendously successful Kickstarter campaign. And this has actually surprisingly has kind of kept its hype and kept its critical acclaim since then, and has been consistently doing well in kind of reviews, and is actually in the top 10 of Board Game Geek rankings. So tremendously successful. And I must admit, that had me very intrigued to try it out for myself. I like Euro-style games, so again, very, very intrigued to get this to the table. I've played this a few times now, and I have to say I'm very impressed with it. It's a very solid design. A lot of kind of tried and tested kind of mechanisms in there, but some new spins on it as well. And that's those kind of the new things that are put into the game is what I think is kind of taking the game into that upper echelon of games, because on a whole the game isn't really anything completely outstanding in my opinion. It has a lot of things that you'd expect from Eurogames. It's got the area control side of things, it's got kind of managing your resources as you'd expect. But the kind of USP about this game is the engine building side of things, because every player has got their own kind of player board, and as you go throughout the game collecting these resources, you can buy upgrades to your board, and you're basically making things cheaper to get better rewards by doing it. And it works so well. It's very intuitive. These player boards are very well designed, and it's just good as you improve things are getting cheaper, you're getting more efficient, you're getting faster, and it works very well. There's quite a bit to this game. It's it's not fiddly in places, but there's quite a lot to it. But considering there's quite a lot to it, it's quite intuitive and it moves very quickly, very little downtime in this game. Basically, you're going to choose an action, perform that action, and then you've got the option of kind of trading in resources to get like an upgrade or something. But as you go into that second part of the game, the play can continue around the table, so you can kind of get on with your own turn while someone else is carrying on the game, the flow of the game. So a very good amount of uptime here, and it ticks along very nicely. Let's go back to the theme a minute. So this game is kind of set in this like 1920s alternate universe, like this kind of war-torn country where they've got these huge mechs. So there's real kind of juxtaposition of the 1920s with these huge machines, and the artwork that kind of accompanies the game is absolutely phenomenal. Beautiful game to look at. The board is really nice, huge board. The player boards are very clear and nice to look at, but the artwork of the cards, and it's wonderful. It really is like, it's not like board game art, it's like proper like works of art that you would expect to see on a wall. And I actually think the artwork was kind of made before the game, and the artwork inspired the game. And you can really see that because the artwork is out of this world beautiful, absolutely beautiful, very kind of fascinating and interesting. So anyway, yeah, let's go back to the game. So there's a lot I like about this game. So I really like the victory conditions of the game, or the end game conditions, because you've got these kind of 10 criteria, such as like getting a certain amount of upgrades, or getting your mechs onto the board, or getting all your workers out, or getting all your what other things are lots of stuff like that, such as winning fights and such stuff like that. So you've got to kind of perform 6 of these criteria, and once someone does, it kind of triggers the end game. And I really like that kind of the race feel of the game, because everyone's kind of trying to be as efficient as possible to trigger that end game mechanism, so they've kind of fulfilled more objectives compared to everyone else. But it also uses something that I generally like in games, full stop. A lot of my favourite games use it, such as Orleans and Concordia, where you get these kind of multipliers. So basically, while you're trying to fulfill these different objectives, control these different regions on the board, and generate as much resources as possible, you're also going to be going up this kind of track on the board, like it's like a popularity track. And the higher you get up that track means the higher kind of end game points you're going to get, in relation to those three criteria. It's a mechanism that I really enjoy, and this does do it very, very well. It kind of works in a weird way because in this kind of theme you'd expect there to be a lot more kind of confrontation and war than what there is. And I have to say the conflict in this game is actually quite muted. There's not a lot there because people are going to be trying to build up their military strength in order to get one of those 6 criteria. Before they actually start initiating the fights. It's kind of a bit weird in that way. It kind of has a bit of a disjointed feel to it, and all of a sudden people will start fighting towards the end of the game. But no big deal. That I don't really like fighting in Euro games at all. Anyway, it's not what you'd expect. So no bother for me there. Loads of decisions to make here. You want to try and venture into these new areas on the board. You're going to be racing to the factory in the middle of the board, which kind of can give you an additional kind of action space on your own unique player board that you can take. And some of these are very, very powerful. So there is that real race to get to the center to get first pick of those factory cards. I like that kind of tension of everyone trying to race there and probably getting into a fight on the way. Obviously there's the way you kind of producing your workers produce goods on their different tiles, and basically the more and more workers you get out, which obviously means you can generate resources, means each time you produce you have to pay a bit of a fine, such as like popularity or lose some military strength. So there's a bit of a push and pull there. You've got to kind of weigh up the benefits and decide if the sacrifice is worth the resources you're going to generate. I really like that decision. Again, the engine building is what really makes this special for me. And honestly, I could be talking all day about this, but I just have to say it's very intuitive, very ingenious, and what makes this game unique. I do have a few concerns about the game. Basically, each faction does have a unique power or like a player ability. And I must admit, the first couple of times I played this, I was not really too fussed about it. But I played this again, and the kind of imbalance between the faction kind of became a bit more apparent to me. Again, I've not played this a bucket load of times. I've under 5 times, but it's just kind of something I have in the back of my head, and it'll be interesting to actually hear from you guys if you have had an issue with the kind of balance between the factions, because that is something that's quite important to me. And if there is like clearly a discrepancy in the powers of these factions, that is something really put me off the game. But again, more plays will tell. Time will tell on that thing. The mechanisms of the game, very intuitive. You just take one of your player actions and do what it says, and the play will constantly flow around the table. You can choose to activate that second ability if you want to try and get the upgrades, trying to fulfill those end game criteria. It's a very quick moving game. As I said, the downtime in this game is absolutely amazing, really, or uptime I should say, considering the nature of the game. But at the same time, that does work against it in a way for me, because I play games to be kind of social in a way, and this one, everyone's so kind of fixed on their own player board, and the play goes around so quickly, and you're focusing on your own board so much that like it's complete silence around the table. Everyone's just got their heads down and getting on with it, like done, and it kind of becomes very kind of sterile and very multiplayer solitaire. That's not something that really bothers me, but I like a bit of social interaction. And apart from kind of blocking spaces and maybe having the odd scuffle with players, there's not really much interaction between the players here at all. So that side of things doesn't really bother me, but the kind of the fact that players are kind of generally automatically but the naturally don't really communicate much during the game is a bit of a kind of negative for me. But that's just something that's that I've noticed as more plays I've played the game. Sorry. But also some of my mates have said the same thing as well. It's like very, very silent. You don't talk at all. You just kind of get on with it. Replayability here. You've got the different factions. You've got different strategies you can take. Going down different routes to try and see what you're going to focus on first. Different factions are going to have different kind of focuses. I think some of the, in fact, one of the factions isn't capped at only winning 2 fights, because basically normally 2 of those 10 criteria is winning a battle. But one of the factions can fight as many times as they want and get stars that way. So that makes kind of their strategy a bit different. So you've got a bit of variability there. There's some more expansions out for this as well, which I'll probably review down the line. But at the moment, I'm just sticking at the base game. So there's a good amount of replayability here. Let's have a look. I've kind of covered player interaction. Aesthetically, as I said, absolutely stunning to look at. The plastic miniatures that come with the game, they're not the best, but they're certainly up to scratch and they look all right. Component quality, overall, really good. A nice chunky board, nice chunky pieces. You've got the wooden pieces, you've got the plastic pieces, you've got nice coins, obviously cardboard coins, but I'm talking about the standard retail edition here anyway, not the Kickstarter exclusive stuff. But certainly a great kind of retail package here, and pretty fairly priced as well for the amount of game you're getting. The theme of the game, I really like it. I think it's a very kind of very unique theme. The artwork is very striking, as I said. That kind of throwback into the 1920s, but with these huge mechs. It just has this real kind of unique feel to the game, and I do like that a lot. Setup, no real issue here. You know, pretty much what you expect with a game of this nature. So no issues there either. So overall, I must say that I do enjoy the game, and I'll certainly be playing it more down the line. But I'm kind of struggling to see what sets this apart so much from other games of this type. Don't get me wrong, it's very, very solid and way up there. Definitely a top, 100 game for me. But the fact that it's in the top 10 of Board Game Geek is a bit kind of, I don't know, I just don't quite get it. I mean, for me, a game like Concordia has the edge on it, and I'd expect to see that in the top 10. And maybe this one switched places in the rankings, but I don't know, it must be something about it. Maybe it's not so dry as games like Concordia and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, a very solid game, one that I can certainly understand why it's so popular. You've got lots of different things to try. It looks great, plays nice and smoothly. Lots to think about, but not being too brain burnery, because you are limited to those few actions. And the engine building in it is very clever, and what makes this unique, as I said. So I love the things that you can focus on, like getting upgrades for your player board, so when other players take that action, you get a bonus as well. So again, another way to keep you engaged, and great amount of uptime. Plays pretty succinctly, you're going to get a game played in under 2 hours. And yeah, overall, a really decent quality game, one that I'll be playing more down the line. And yeah, overall, I enjoy the game. So that's my review of Scythe. I hope you enjoyed the review. It is what it is. If you have enjoyed the videos, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.